3 spine-chilling true stories, exposed haunted relics, sinister secrets, and cursed grounds. Lisa Dawson felt the weight of Maplewood on her shoulders as she stood outside her new home, a fixer-upper that clung onto its charm with worn shutters and a crooked porch. The town seemed sleepy and safe, draped in shade from the old sycamores. Little did she know how wrong she was. Fresh start, she whispered to herself, holding her 2 children, Jamie and Sarah, close. They stepped inside, hearts swelling with hope, unaware of the lurking darkness that awaited them. As she began unpacking in the attic, a chilling shiver crawled up her spine. Amidst dusty boxes and forgotten trinkets, she was drawn to an antique doll, its glassy eyes unearthly and unsettlingly alive. "Look, Mom!" Jamie yelled, stamping forward. "Isn't she creepy?" Laughter filled the attic, but it hung on a knife's edge. Time would soon reveal it as a beckoning of dread. The first night was supposed to be peaceful, but a cacophony of creaks echoed through the house. The doors twisted open on their own, whispers slithered through the stairwell, dark shadows flitted just beyond the children's sight. Lisa brushed it off, just their imaginations or the house settling, she thought. But then furniture began shifting ominously, scratching at the floorboards as if something unseen was rearranging the room. "Did you hear that, Jamie?" A sense of foreboding filled her voice. He nodded, eyes wide. "I thought it was just me," but the laughter that once isolated itself between the 4 walls turned into quiet tears, the warmth of her family slowly freezing into fear. They didn't venture far into the house, now a cocoon of panic. Whispers around the neighborhood grew softer, smiles turned into wary glances, and camaraderie vanished like fog when the sun rises. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Lisa picked up the doll one night, examining its cracked porcelain face as her heart raced. That's when she heard a soft weeping drifting toward her from the corner of the living room. She flipped on the lights, squinting but seeing nothing. The world was safe, wasn't it? But night after night, the sounds intensified, her courage waning as dread seeped into the fabric of her family life. Grayson, their reserved neighbor who liked to linger at his cracked sidewalk, emerged as a suspicious figure in her increasingly paranoid mind. Talk of missing children swirled around her, echoing warnings wrapped in sweet smiles. Lisa felt trapped in a waking nightmare. How could Maplewood, with its picturesque streets and cheerful nods, hide such deep-rooted horrors? The door creaked open again, this time, more purposeful. Lisa clutched the doll, terror gripping her like a vice. She understood now, they were not alone. With each passing moment, the chill in her bones indicated one truth: the darkness that swirled outside had taken root in their home. Frozen in fear, she began to realize the past of this doll entwined with their fate, and to protect her children, she would have to confront whatever monstrosity lingered in the shadows. And just as she steeled herself for the living nightmare that lay ahead, a scream echoed from the attic, a sound that shattered her already fractured reality. Could she outrun the horrors of a town where the hard facade betrayed the terror lurking beneath? The pull of destiny was undeniable, leading her ever closer to the truth, and she was terrified of what she would find. Lisa's heart pounded in her chest as the scream reverberated through the house, slicing the night like a jagged shard of glass. It was Sarah's voice, pure terror ringing in the air, a sound no mother should ever have to hear. The attic door loomed in front of her, an ominous portal that seemed to breathe with her fear. "Sarah!" she yelled, rushing toward the stairs, legs heavy as if dragging through molasses. Shadows fluttered in her periphery, whispering insidiously. She didn't stop to think. She couldn't. Every step echoed agonizingly, each creak underfoot drowning her in dread. As she reached the attic, Lisa flung the door wide open. A gust of cold air surged past her, carrying the faint scent of mildew. The dim light flickered erratically, making the space feel alive and haunted. Jamie stood frozen at the foot of the narrow stairs, eyes wide with horror, but Sarah was nowhere in sight. "Mom!" he whimpered, pointing into the darkness. "Where is she?" Lisa's voice cracked, barely a whisper. The silence that followed was heavy, oppressive. Then, a rustling sound emanated from behind an old trunk, something soft and sinister whispering her name. "Mom!" The hair on the nape of her neck prickled, a raw jolt of panic washing over her. "Sarah!" She moved closer, her heart racing as she knelt down, bracing herself for what might come. Light flickered one more time, and she glimpsed a figure, a slight silhouette barely illuminated. Sarah's face emerged from the shadows, pale as moonlight, eyes wide, teary. "Mom, it's right there," she stammered, pointing past the trunk. Lisa's gaze darted to the corner of the attic, dread coiling tighter in her stomach. There stood the cursed doll, the very same one that had intrigued Jamie that day. Now it was lying on the floor, head tilted, eyes gleaming with a terrifying life, as if it were aware of their presence. It was impossible. A doll couldn't move, breathe, or, most frightening of all, call. Mom?" Jamie stuttered behind her, gripping the door frame. "It smiled at me." Before Lisa could process the horror of their reality, an ethereal whisper trembled through the room, sending chills crawling across her skin. "Play with me," it crooned, an invitation laced with malice. The air thickened, shadows swirling like smoke, creatures escaping an angry fire. "Get away from it!" Lisa screamed, throwing herself protectively in front of her children, but the words felt weak against the chilling energy pressing inward. The doll did not move, but the air around it shimmered, vibrating with an unseen force. Lisa felt a tug at her heart, a cloying sensation that begged her to approach the doll, to understand it. The urge was almost unyielding, stirring ancient fears buried beneath layers of reason. For a moment, the madness faded, replaced by whispers that promised truths, secrets from another time. "No!" she shouted, breaking the hold. But the words echoed in the void, swallowed by the encroaching dread. She could feel a darkness slithering into her mind, preyed upon her insecurities, whispering of failure and fears about motherhood. "Mom, I don't want to be here," Sarah cried, clutching her mother's arm, both comforted and terrified by the warmth of Lisa's presence. In the dim light, choking on fear, Lisa reached for Sarah's hand, determination igniting her spirit. "We're leaving. Now." As the trio turned, chaos erupted around them. A sudden cold wind whirled through the attic, throwing drawers open and scattering papers. Shadows danced wildly, and the whispers escalated into a cacophony of shrieks. "You can't leave," echoed through the chaos, each word like ice embedding into her bones. At that moment, the doll's eyes glinted menacingly. It seemed to mock them as they stumbled backward toward the now closed attic door. The grip of terror tightened around them, but Lisa vowed, as she shielded her children, they would escape. She would face this evil for them, and just as they made it to the stairs, the whispers morphed into wild screams, drowning out her rational thought. The doll's laughter echoed in her mind, taunting her. Promising to take what it desired, fate had led them into the jaws of madness, but now it hung in the balance. What was that dark history tethered to the doll? What good could possibly come from this wretched town? As she and her children stepped down onto the landing, the lights flickered once more, casting monstrous shadows that twisted and intertwined. In that harrowing moment, Lisa realized they needed to uncover the doll's origin before it consumed them entirely. Fear hung thick in the air as they turned to face the haunted home, now aware that Maplewood's beauty masked horrors waiting to be unearthed. Where would this path lead them, into the heart of darkness or to freedom? The attic door slammed shut behind them, the sound reverberating like a gunshot through the oppressive silence of the darkened hallway. Lisa's breath hitched as she whipped around, but there was no way back now. Shadows danced along the walls, beckoning, whispering secrets that twisted her stomach into knots. Jamie tugged at her arm, wide-eyed and shivering. "Mom, I don't want to go back," he whined, trying to pull her toward the safety of the front door. Her instincts screamed to flee, but something deep inside urged her to stay, to uncover the truth behind the cursed doll and what it wanted. "I know, sweetie," she said, forcing a calmness she didn't feel. "But we need to find out what's happening. I won't let it hurt you. Not again." They tiptoed cautiously down the hall, every creak of the floorboards the voice of doom. The memories of the day flooded back, the doll smiling, that sinister invitation to play. Why would we play with something so creepy? Sarah's small voice cut through the tension, clinging to Lisa's other hand tightly. Lisa's heart ached at her daughter's fear, but what choice did they have? As they reached the living room, Lisa felt a dread wash over her. Her eyes darted, searching for something, anything, that could give them answers. Distorted shadows flickered against the walls, swirling like whispers of the past. In the corner of the room stood a dusty bookshelf, its wooden shelf stained with age and time. Lisa moved toward it, feeling drawn to a heavy tome leaning precariously at the edge. She pulled it free, the dust erupting into the air like a choking cloud. "Mom, look!" Jamie pointed, shivering. The doll was back, sitting in the same spot on the floor, gleaming eyes turned toward them. It felt like a predator watching its prey. Lisa swallowed hard, the book clutched tightly to her chest. "Stay close, don't look at it," she murmured, flipping through the yellowing pages. The words swam in front of her until one caught her eye: "Cursed relics bound to the past, dolls that feed on fear." The hairs on her arms stood on end, the haunting word sending a shiver down her spine. "What does it mean?" Sarah asked, her voice barely a whisper. "It means this doll is dangerous. It feeds off our fears and our pain," Lisa choked out, each word heavy with realization. She stared up at the doll, which now seemed unnaturally still, though its presence felt more threatening than ever. Suddenly, the lights flickered, plunging them into darkness before bursting back to life. The doll had moved just a fraction, but enough to make her heart drop. It sat there, now grinning wider, eyes sparkling with malice. "Play with me." Lisa clutched the book, the weight of her impending decisions pinning her with terror. The whispers escalated again, like angry phantoms screaming. With each passing moment, the atmosphere thickened, the air crackling with an intensity that made her skin crawl. "Mom!" Jamie cried, lunging toward her. "I'm scared." She felt the tears welling in her eyes, but the heat of her anger flared inside her. "We need to confront this, Jamie. We won't be prisoners in our own home." The air around them shifted, dark tendrils encroaching, winding around her children, pulling them apart from her. As dread filled her, Lisa grabbed Jamie's hand tightly, pushing her way toward the door. The book fell to the floor with a thud, pages fluttering open to reveal a sinister engraving of the doll. Just as they neared the exit, the walls seemed to close in, shadows pooling like dark water. "You can't leave," a chorus of voices wailed, chilling her to the core. In that instant, with the cold wrapping around them like a vice, Lisa made her choice. They would not be broken here, not now. We need to fight back. We have to understand what this thing wants, or it will take everything. As they stepped forward, ready to face the horror, a sharp crash echoed through the house, glass shattering, a window flung open somewhere in the darkness. The chilling voice whispered again, softer this time, almost seductive. "Stay with me forever." Pain shot through her heart. She tightened her grip on Jamie and Sarah. What had she brought them into? They were not just escaping, they were stepping deeper into a nightmare. And as the shadows lunged toward them, Lisa realized the real battle was only just beginning. What other sinister secrets awaited to be uncovered in a town steeped in darkness? The shadows surged toward them, black tendrils hungrily reaching out, eager to envelop them. Lisa's heart raced, panic threading through her veins like ice. "Run!" she shouted, tugging Jamie and Sarah along with her, desperate footsteps echoing against the wooden floor. They darted back through the living room, every instinct screaming to escape. But the darkness had teeth. It bit into her resolve, biting at her sanity. "Mom, the doll. Sarah's voice pierced the chaos, but Lisa didn't dare look back. The whispers intensified, a cacophony of chilling laughter that slithered into her mind, wrapping around her thoughts. They burst into the kitchen, the air thick with a clinging dampness. Lisa's eyes darted to the back door. It felt like the only hope, but a cold dread settled in her stomach as she reached for the knob. Could they win against whatever tethered that doll to them? The door handle twisted under her grip, but it gave an unwilling groan, resisting her escape. Frantic energy surged through her. "Open!" she yelled, wrenching it harder. The door remained stubborn, refusing her urgency. The mocking whispers echoed louder, drowning out her thoughts. "Mom!" Jamie cried, panic breaking through his brave exterior. "What's happening? Just hold on. We'll get out of this." Panic tightened around her throat. She suddenly felt sweat trickle down her spine, the moment stretching like a frayed rope. In a last act of desperation, she lunged at the window. It felt impossibly heavy, but she forced it open. Cold night air rushed in, a breath of freedom and dread. As she climbed through, she could hear the doll's voice, sweet yet sinister, curling around her. "You can't leave me, you belong to me." Fingers grasped at her skirts, burying themselves in the fabric. "Jamie!" She turned back, seeing her son standing frozen in place, eyes wide, looking at something beyond her. "Jamie!" A fleeting glance back revealed the doll, somehow back in the room, now positioned so that it faced them directly. Its small mouth opened wide, laughter spilling forth a cacophony that threatened to unravel her. She could almost see the dark energy pooling around it like a storm cloud, swirling with malice. "Mom! Help!" Jamie pleaded, his terror tangling with her own, pulling her tighter to him than ever before. "No! Jamie, come!" With one final push, she yanked him toward the window, pulling Sarah close as they edged outside. Yet the chilling caress of a shadow brushed against her, pulling her back toward the house. It felt like claws raked against her skin, cold steel, puncturing her resolve. "Get away from her!" A voice boomed from within, the deep, ominous growl slicing through the whispers. In the darkened corners of the room, a figure emerged, tall, faceless, but radiating a force that obliterated the suffocating panic clouding Lisa's mind. "Run!" She screamed again, this time launching herself and her children through the window into the night. They tumbled into the grass, hearts hammering wildly, but Lisa didn't stop. Breathing hard, they sprinted toward the tree line, the whispers chasing behind, promising them secrets and truths they dare not know. As they stumbled into the sheltering woods, Lisa risked a glance behind, the house looming sinister and motionless. Was it over? Had they really escaped? A rustle shattered the night, ice cracking in the air. "You'll never escape your past," the voice echoed, the depth of it wrapping around her, squeezing her chest. Panic rose as she realized they were not truly safe. Shadows shifted, dancing at the edge of her vision, ready to reclaim what belonged to them. The chilling truth settled like lead in her stomach. This wasn't just about the doll. It was about something deeper, something that had been waiting for them patiently in the dark. "What do we do now?" Jamie whispered, trembling. Lisa frowned, her heart pounding in her ears. "We have to find a way to stop it. We need to uncover its history and find out what it truly wants." But that meant going back. And as another gust of wind howled through the trees, she realized they were only beginning to confront the horror that awaited them. What buried secrets would they unearth if they dared step into the path of darkness again? They stumbled deeper into the woods, shadows clutching at their heels. Each step felt like wading through ice water, the chill seeping into their bones. The trees loomed overhead, branches intertwining like skeletal fingers, blocking out what little moonlight remained. "Mom, I don't want to go back." Sarah's voice quivered, her small hand tightening around Lisa's arm. "I know, sweetheart," Lisa replied, forcing her voice to be steady. "But we have to understand it. We need to know what we're dealing with." Jamie's face was pale, eyes darting nervously, but determination flickered underneath the fear. "What if it finds us here?" he whispered, glancing nervously over his shoulder. The thought cut through Lisa like a knife. The doll and the darkness were not just behind them, they could be anywhere. That moan in the wind sounded too familiar, a cruel echo of what they had just escaped. "Stay close," Lisa urged, leading them further away from the house, though a part of her screamed to turn and run. They needed to regroup, to recall what they knew about the doll, how it had come into their lives, and the old stories that surrounded it. Secrets long hidden couldn't remain buried. A flicker of light caught her eye, momentarily brightening the shadows. Curious, she turned, heart racing. The glow pulsed like a beacon, inviting and ominous all at once. "Look!" She pointed, her pulse quickening with hope. "Maybe it's a way out." Together, they approached the light, but a wave of unease washed over her. It was only a few yards when an eerie, familiar giggle emerged from the darkness, wrapping around them like smoke. "Do you hear that?" Jamie whispered, barely audible. Lisa nodded, forcing herself to keep moving despite the tremors in her legs. "It's just the wind, right?" she tried to convince herself. But then, as if mocking her reassurance, the sound grew louder, more insistent. It wasn't the wind. It was the doll's laughter, twisted and full of malice. Her heart sank as she realized they were walking into a trap. "We shouldn't," Sarah began, but Lisa cut her off, feeling the shadows closing in. "Back! We need to move back!" she hissed, adrenaline surging. As they turned to retreat, the ground beneath them trembled, roots tangling together, creating a web that confined their escape. Panic clawed at Lisa's throat. The very earth was shifting against them, a living entity obeying the call of the darkness. "Mom!" Jamie cried, struggling against the gnarly roots wrapping around his ankles. With instinct fueled by sheer terror, Lisa lunged forward, grasping Jamie's arm. "Hold on!" A horrible creaking noise surrounded them, echoing through the trees. The laughter intensified, filling her ears, drowning out rational thought. Every shadow whispered the same chilling message: "Come play with us, you can't escape." As she tugged them free, the forest began to twist and turn, aligning with the laughter and shadows. Lisa felt her grip slip just as Jamie yanked away. "Mom! I can't!" he screamed, panic surging through his eyes as one shadow lunged forth, pulling him backward. "No!" she shouted, lunging but stumbling against the roots that encircled her legs, pulling her to the ground. The laughter erupted into a cacophony, drowning all hope, the very air thickening around her. She struggled, heart racing, desperation coursing through her veins. Suddenly, she caught sight of the glowing light once more. It flickered right in front of her, just beyond reach. "Mom!" Jamie's voice was a raspy whisper now, fading from her grasp, and then, in that moment of utter hopelessness, Lisa caught something glimmering in the darkness. A mirror? A reflection? Something in that light inside the wood seemed familiar, pulling her closer with an unimaginable gravity. "What do you want from us?" she gasped, searching for answers, struggling against the roots binding her, but the shadows laughed in response, and the chilling reality sank in. Going forward would mean unveiling a past she wasn't prepared to face. With the echo of Jamie's cry lingering in her ears, Lisa knew this was only a beginning. The true confrontation awaited them in the depths of the shadows. What awaited them in that flickering light? Would it lead to salvation or further entrapment? The woods closed in around them, pressing Lisa against the cold ground. The laughter echoed in her mind, relentless and taunting. Jamie's voice faded further, merging with the frantic rustling of leaves. Panic surged anew, and she struggled against the roots, thrashing in a futile escape attempt. "Jamie!" The name echoed, choked with desperation. Sarah knelt beside her, wide-eyed, looking around as if the very trees were watching them. "Mom, where is he?" "Stay close!" Lisa shouted, her heart racing wildly in her chest. The weight of the darkness pressed on her, almost tangible, a living, breathing thing that reveled in their fear. She could almost hear it whispering, urging her to give in. With a jolt, she wrenched free, a surge of determination breaking through the panic. She grabbed Sarah's arm, pulling her up from the ground. "We have to run. Now." They bolted together, the light flickering ahead still drawing her. But every step felt heavier, like the forest itself was conspiring to hold them back. Shadows darted at the edges of her vision, shifting and slithering just beyond the reach of the pale glow. "Mom! You have to help Jamie!" Sarah screamed, her voice thin and tremulous. "I know, honey. I will." The glowing light ahead pulsed again, and Lisa's mind raced. What if it was a way out? Could it save Jamie? Or was it another snare of the darkness? But she couldn't stand still. They dashed toward it, desperation guiding their movements. Each footfall seemed to echo louder than the last, reverberating through the twisted undergrowth, and she swore the laughter chased them, wrapping around her like a shroud. The moment they reached the edge of the glowing circle, fear gripped her heart. In the center lay an object, a tarnished old mirror standing crooked, its surface swirling with fog and darkness. Lisa felt an otherworldly pull as if it beckoned her closer. Parenting instinct screamed at her to flee, but something about the mirror felt familiar. "Mom, what is that?" Sarah whispered, eyes wide with fear. Lisa didn't answer, drawn in by the swirling mist. "Jamie." She called again, voice shaky, but it was swallowed by the forest. As she stepped closer, shadows danced across the glass, revealing glimpses of twisted scenes from her past gatherings, laughter, family warmth all distorted, shadows of memories she thought long buried. The laughter grew louder, mingling with whispers that made her skin crawl. "Come play, join us, unveil the truth. What do you want?" she breathed, the air thick with trepidation. Without warning, the mirror's surface rippled, revealing Jamie's terrified face. He was trapped inside, eyes wide with panic, the brightness of his spirit eclipsed by the encroaching shadows. "Mom! Help me!" His voice broke her heart, sending her racing back toward the mirror. Suddenly, the ground shuddered violently, roots snapping and crashing around them, pulling her back, dragging her down. "No! Let him go!" Sarah yanked on her sleeve, pulling her back toward the trees. "Mom, we have to escape." But Lisa couldn't, not yet. "I have to save him." Just then, sharp pain bit into her leg. One of the roots had wrapped around her ankle, squeezing tight. She felt her strength waning as the shadows tightened their grip on her, a low growl echoing through the night. In a panic, she pulled a large rock free from the ground and smashed it against the root binding her. "Let her go!" Sarah shouted, fear mingling with bravery. The crack of wood echoed in the air, releasing Lisa as she stumbled forward. Taking a second to catch her breath, she pictured Jamie's scared face, but when she turned back to the mirror, it was no longer there. It was simply shadows and whispers now, each cold tendril of darkness reaching out, hungry. "It can't end like this," Lisa gasped, her eyes wide as realization hit. Whatever darkness awaited them was more powerful than she could imagine. "Mom, we have to go." Sarah pulled her toward the trees. But Lisa hesitated. What if this is how we save him? Would the risk finally expose the truth of their past? The darkness writhed angrily, waiting. Watching. And then she saw it, a flicker of light deep within the shadows, not from the mirror, a new lure. What if that's another trap? Sarah whimpered. But Lisa felt the gravity of it, an instinct burning within. I have to see. We can't leave without him. With every ounce of energy, she charged into the depths of the wood, determined to find out how far she was willing to go for her children, even if it meant facing what lay in that light. As they approached, the figures began to take shape in the gloom, distorted faces, twisted smiles revealing a horrifying truth. Mom! Sarah pulled her back as they stepped into the unknown, and a familiar echo rang through the air, you've come to play what awaited them in that light? Was it the salvation they craved or the endpoint of their nightmares? Lisa's breath came in ragged gasps as they stepped into the eerie glow. The light enveloped them, pulsing like a heartbeat, drawing them deeper into the forest's heart. Dark silhouettes loomed around them, shifting and swirling, their non-human forms twisting into grotesque parodies of laughter and joy. The familiar echo of "you've come to play" faded, replaced by whispers snaking through the air, laced with malice. "Mom, I don't like this." Sarah's voice trembled, her small hand gripping Lisa's tightly. Lisa's heart raced, the warmth of her daughter's touch anchoring her against the encroaching fear. "Stay close, Sarah," she whispered, though the words felt like a futile promise. Ahead, the flickering light intensified, revealing a clearing filled with warped trees and bizarre stains on the ground. Lisa hesitated, dread pooling in the pit of her stomach. This was nothing like the cozy warmth of their home, this felt alive, hungry. With every step, the ground seemed to pulse beneath her sneakers, a creature in slumber disturbed. "Over there." Sarah pointed, her voice rising above the whispering cacophony. A figure stood at the edge of the clearing, a child, perhaps, with wild eyes that shimmered unnaturally. But as they approached, the illusion shattered. The child was nothing more than a shadow, mouth stretched into a gaping, toothy grin, a mockery of innocence. "Mom, please," Sarah begged, her fear palpable. Lisa could feel the air growing cold, wrapping around her like an ice-cold breath. "What do you want from us?" she shouted, feeling like the question itself compelled the darkness to weave tighter around them. The shadows danced with delight at her defiance, an undulating mass of despair and anticipation. "Play, play, join us," they chanted, the sound clawing at her sanity. Lisa's skin crawled, every instinct screaming to flee, yet the glowing child beckoned her closer, as if it held the key to Jamie's fate. "Come." The shadowed figure reached out, fingers elongated like twisted branches. "He's waiting, he wants to play too." Lisa's stomach turned. The pull of something familiar and unfathomable in the shadows threatened to overwhelm her. She glanced at Sarah, who seemed rooted in place, frozen by fear and fascination. "Get back!" Lisa shouted, stepping protectively in front of her. "We are not playing anything this time." In response, the ground shook violently, a deep rumble reverberating through their feet. Lisa stumbled, nearly falling into the dark embrace of the shadows. She looked back at the flickering glow, her heart pounding. What if Jamie was somewhere in there, lost but close? What if the only way to save them all lay in confronting this darkness? Another voice joined the fray, not taunting, but pleading. "Mom! I'm here." It was Jamie, clearer now through the distorted veil, his eyes alight with terror and a hint of hope. "Jamie!" Her voice broke like glass, sharp and desperate. "Where are you?" His figure flickered in the gloom, shifting back and forth as if caught in a nightmare. The malevolent shadows pressed in closer, writhing, eager to snuff out the last semblance of hope. "Mom!" He reached out, desperation lacing his voice, followed by the sinister chorus, "Join us, play forever." Lisa felt tears sting her eyes. They were playing with more than her mind, they were toying with her heart, tugging her to the edge of despair. The darkness thickened, warping the air, and suddenly, the ground beneath her feet began to dissolve like ash. "Mom!" Sarah shouted, panic bursting forth, and Lisa grabbed her tightly, her resolve hardened. "Run!" Yanked her hard in the direction of Jamie's voice, but the shadows erupted, clawing at their legs, wrapping around them like fog. She fought against them, but panic surged. They wouldn't let go without a struggle. A blinding flash of light pierced through the shadows, illuminating twisted faces that winked out of existence like dying stars. Lisa caught a glimpse of Jamie, his eyes wide with pure terror as the darkness howled around them, growing in intensity. "Mom! Out!" she screamed, eyes resolute. "We're getting out of here." But just as they turned to flee, the light pulsed again, revealing a vast swirling vortex. Without warning, it sucked them in, spinning them through a chaotic mix of light and shadow. The last thing Lisa heard was the laugh echoing, taunting as darkness swallowed them whole. What awaited them on the other side? Would it lead to Jamie's salvation, or was this just another descent into the abyss? The vortex twisted around them, spinning faster, the colors blending until they formed a blinding haze. Lisa held on to Sarah, her grip white-knuckled, fear coursing through her veins like ice water. She could hear Jamie's voice, faint and echoing, "Mom. Don't let go." Then, as suddenly as it began, they were thrown out colliding against the ground in a tumble of limbs. Lisa gasped, vision blurred, the sensation of being crushed by a weight too heavy to bear. Shadows flickered around them, shying away from the bright beam of moonlight overhead. They lay sprawled on the cold earth, gasping for breath, the chaotic noise of the forest distant yet burning through the silence. Lisa stumbled to her feet, heart racing, scanning her surroundings. They were no longer in the clearing. They had landed in a different part of the woods, an ancient grove shrouded in a mist that curled around the trees like ghostly hands. "Jamie!" Lisa cried, panic clawing at her throat. The void had come between them. In the heavy, silver light, she could see Sarah, but there was no sign of Jamie. "Is he here?" Sarah's face was pale, her small frame shaking. What was that?" "I don't know," Lisa whispered, keeping her eyes darting through the fog. "We have to find him." The air thickened, carrying an unsettling sweetness mingled with decay. Every rustle of the trees felt alive, watching with hungry eyes. Lisa led the way, forcing herself to push forward, even as the dread crept under her skin. With each step, the ground whispered beneath their feet, and shadows danced just out of sight, threatening to swallow them any moment. The trees seemed to lean closer, their gnarled branches clutching at the darkness, as if ready to ensnare them again. "Mom," Sarah whispered, stopping in her tracks. "Do you hear that?" There it was, unmistakable, a soft giggle, delicate like the tinkling of wind chimes, yet laced with something sinister. It was not Jamie, but it sent chills down Lisa's spine. The laughter echoed and then morphed into a chant. "Play with us, play forever, just keep walking, sweetheart," Lisa urged, her voice trembling but firm. Gripping Sarah's hand tighter, she pressed on through the oppressive air, fear wrapping around her like a cold blanket. Suddenly, a light danced through the trees ahead. It flickered almost playfully, taunting her, promising hope yet emanating foreboding. She turned to run toward it when Sarah yanked her back. "Mom! No!" In the distance, shadows began to swirl again, rearranging, forming familiar shapes. Faces she thought lost, reaching out with skeletal hands from swirling black. Shadows of children, eyes wide and gleaming, began to drift closer. "Come play with us," they sang, their voices high and sweet, delightful yet rotten. "Get away," Lisa shouted, pulling Sarah to her. "We need to find Jamie." The shadows surged, engulfing them with laughter that pierced the silence, the light beckoning them in its warm embrace. But something was off. The warmth felt like a trap, a veneer hiding the cold. Lisa felt herself being pulled into the night. The darkness offered comfort, whispered sweet promises, but she could see it for what it truly was. But then through the swirling gloom she saw him. Jamie stood at the edge of the light, his silhouette haloed by the glow, desperately reaching out. "Mom! Help!" The plea tore at her heart. "Jamie!" With every ounce of strength, she fought against the grasping shadows, carrying Sarah behind her, shoving against the dark mass. "We're coming." Just as they reached the edge of the light, something powerful yanked Jamie back, and Lisa's heart sank. His figure twisted in horror, eyes wide with fear as he screamed, "Don't let them take me." The shadows screeched. A cacophony of yearning and anger erupted, the forest alive with the sound of the countless souls trapped within. "Run! Now!" Lisa shouted, yanking Sarah back as the shadows lunged. They sprinted toward Jamie, but the darkness surged. The forest roared, echoing with promises of despair, clawing at the edges of their resolve. Would they breach the light and pull Jamie back before it was too late, or were they racing toward their own demise? The truth lurked within the light. If they got too close, what new horrors awaited them? Lisa's breath quickened, her heart pounding like a thunderstorm in her chest. The shadows writhed, twisting into grotesque forms that seemed to reach for them, crawling through the darkness, hungry and relentless. She held Sarah's hand tightly, their fingers interlocked like a lifeline. "Mom, please." "Jamie!" Sarah cried, her voice breaking. The child's wide eyes reflected the seeping panic surrounding them. Lisa could feel the darkness siphoning away their hope, each beat of her heart echoing Jamie's desperate cries. "Stay close," Lisa urged, her voice strained. Fighting against the turmoil of terror, she pushed forward, feeling the ground shift beneath them, as if it were part of the malevolent force trying to drag them down into its depths. The light flickered like a fragile candle, illuminating a narrow path through the swirling fog. The laughter, sweet yet horrifying, echoed around them, growing louder, wrapping around Lisa and Sarah like a cold embrace. It spoke of corrupted joy, a promise of eternal play that stank of decay. "You don't have to be afraid," a voice cooed from the shadows. Lisa felt her resolve waver, an unsettling familiarity in the tone, like an echo from a past long buried. "Join us just for a little while." "No." She forced the word through her clenched teeth, shaking her head violently. "We have to find Jamie." As they edged closer to the swirling light, Lisa felt a strange sensation creeping up her spine, an urge to turn back, to submit to the sweet serenity that beckoned from the darkness. But she couldn't. Jamie needed her, he needed them. With newfound determination, Lisa pressed onward, but the ground beneath them shifted again. Roots clawed at her ankles, trying to snare her. "Mom!" Sarah screamed, and Lisa felt her daughter tugging desperately, trying to break free. "Hold on, Sarah." The shadows whispered louder, their laughter merging into a single haunting chant, promising her a reunion, a solace that could drown out all pain, if only she would listen. "Help us, play with us forever and ever, get away," she shouted, swinging her arm back, trying to break the grasping roots that latched onto her. "We're almost there." The light seemed to grow stronger, pulsing like a heartbeat, promising salvation, but she could feel its warmth tinged with something menacing. Through the haze, Jamie's figure danced at the outer edges of the light, a frail hope in the suffocating dark. His face twisted in anguish, eyes wide, pleading with every fibril of desperation. "Mom, please." He was being pulled, a part of him caught in the merciless clutch of shadow, fighting yet fading. Tears streamed down his cheeks, and Lisa felt each drop resonate like heavy stones pulling her deeper into despair. "Hold on, Jamie. We're coming." She pushed through her fear, stepping into the crucible of light, dragging Sarah behind her, every instinct screaming at her to flee. It shimmered tantalizingly, but as they approached, it warped, threatening to morph into their worst nightmares. For a split second, another child appeared beside Jamie, a shadowed figure with hollow, yearning eyes, reaching with bony fingers toward Sarah. "Don't go. Stay with us," it cried, its voice syrupy sweet, an enticing trap. "No!" Lisa screamed. In an instant, Jamie's frantic gaze locked onto hers, a moment of recognition slicing through the chaos. "Let go of her." His voice was a life raft amidst the surging tide of terror. They surged forward, the light pulsating once more, a beacon amongst the darkness. But a cold wind swept through the grove, carrying with it a deep, malevolent laugh that shook the very ground. The air thickened, the shadows screamed louder, emboldened as Lisa felt herself slipping, the pull of the light clashing against the overwhelming grasp of the darkness. It was threatening to tear them apart, a final struggle to decide, but the price loomed ever closer. "What will you sacrifice?" The shadows whispered, echoing her torment as darkness surged to claim what was theirs. Would they lose Jamie once more, or would they breach the veil, reclaiming the light before? Everything vanished into the black, the time was running out. Where would they hide when the shadows descended? Lisa felt the pull of the darkness tightening around her, a vice that threatened to rip her family apart. Jamie's terrified face loomed so close, yet the shadows clawed between them, gnashing with hunger. Every cry from him cracked her heart further, echoing the desperate truth: time was running out. "Don't let go, Jamie!" she screamed, desperation boiling in her veins. She tugged fiercely at Sarah's hand, urging her forward. "We have to believe." But the shadows roared, their voices clawing at her sanity, relentless, echoing, "Join us, you have no choice." The light flickered before her, an unspeakable beacon, both a promise and a peril. She could see Jamie fighting against the dark, struggling to break free. "Mom! Help me!" he pleaded again, and in that moment, the audacity of love surged within her. Clutching Sarah's hand tighter, Lisa hurled herself toward the light, heart pounding, body trembling. "We're coming, baby!" she shouted, every ounce of her spirit igniting with hope as she surged against the shadows that wrestled for her children. "We will not be afraid." The darkness recoiled, hissing, but shadows writhed around them like vicious serpents, trying to swallow their every step. Undeterred, Lisa rallied her thoughts, recalling whispers from the past, rumors about the true form of the doll that haunted Maplewood. It was no mere plaything, it preyed on fear, feeding on despair, and that despair would not claim her family. "Think of the good!" she cried, locking onto a memory that burned bright in the depths of her soul: their laughter during family game night, the smell of cookies baking in the oven, the warmth of their embrace during storms. "Remember, Jamie. You can fight it." The glow grew stronger, wrapping them in warmth, as she pulled Sarah closer. "Hold on to me," she commanded, and with newfound strength, that flickering light ignited their resolve. Just as they broke through the last tether of shadow, a triumphant blast of energy erupted. A brilliant white beam burst forward, tearing away the fog, and in that instant, Lisa saw Jamie. The light illuminated him, radiant and real, an unbreaking bond. She leaped forward, arms outstretched. The shadows writhed, protesting, but the clarity of love shattered their hold like glass. "We're here. We've got you," she yelled. "Mom!" Jamie cried, radiating pure relief, reaching her just as they collided in a powerful embrace. Light enveloped them, driving off the shadows that shrieked, fading into darkness. Sarah joined them, their family a united front against the encroaching void, but as the darkness receded, they saw the twisted faces in the shadows, echoes of lost children and forgotten pleas, still trapped in the grips of despair. As they turned to run, Lisa felt a sharp pang in her chest. The doll, once merely a puppet, had been a vessel, channeling the town's collective anguish. "We can't leave them." Lisa's voice trembled with conviction. The shadows were starting to dissolve, but those lost souls lingered. "We have to free them." Before another second could slip away, Lisa grasped the power drawing her, pulling memories of joy from deep within her heart. She thought of the laughter, the family hugs, the bright morning horizons. "Join us!" she shouted into the dark. "You are not alone." With every syllable she spoke, the shadows wailed, intertwining with the warmth that glowed from within her, and as if the universe responded, light exploded, blasting through the trees, growing brighter and brighter. The hollow eyes of the shadows blinked, surprise in their distorted faces, showing uncertainty for the first time. Light surged, reclaiming the twisted forms of the lost souls. "Let them go. Come back to the light." Lisa cried out with everything she had. She reached, hand extended, fingers beckoning those caught in despair. One by one, lost voices joined in, drawn toward the light, laughter and joy spilling from their shadows, transforming echoes of pain into a choir of forgotten innocence rising like a phoenix. Then they rushed her family, arm in arm, toward the last light. The woods shimmered around them, the glow shifting and filtering through the trees like a beautiful dawn. A final surge of shadows clawed, but it didn't matter anymore. They broke through together, unscathed. The atmosphere shifted, suffocating shadows fading behind them as they leapt from the woods, finding themselves back outside the old house, unharmed yet trembling. Maplewood laid before them, the horizon painted in hues never before seen. A new dawn had arrived. "Mom, did we really do it?" Jamie whispered, incredulous. "Yes," Lisa said, holding them close, feeling the pulse of their heartbeats. "Together, we did." They lingered, looking around at the once feared house, no longer a sinister sight but a relic of the past with a promise for the future. And though the echoes of darkness remained like scars, the strength found in love would resonate louder. As the sun rose over Maplewood, Lisa knew they would always carry pieces of the shadows with them, but they had survived. Ready for new beginnings? Ready for the life ahead? You need to subscribe now, so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this wild ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Join this journey, because true fans like you understand how vital your support is to keep this adventure alive.